Hi, welcome to Painting with Victoria. I'm Victoria Gobel, and in today's lesson, we will be painting a llama in Peru. So before we get started, let's talk about the background that's going to go behind our llama. And because we always want to start with the back and work forward, we're going to talk about how we're going to create the sky, the mountainscape, and the grass. But first, let's position our llama. Take out your template that you got in your kit. And I like to always put my subjects off to the right or to the left, but on this one, I like to put it right in the center. So go ahead and position your llama right in the center, and then you're going to take your pencil and sketch all the way around it. Make sure you press hard enough to see it, because we are going to be painting over it. Okay, so you can clearly see my pencil lines with my llama sketched on. Let's start with the sky, because we want to work our way down. So we'll start with the sky into the mountainscape and into the grass. So we're going to paint all the way around him, and then we're going to paint him. So take out your flat brush and dip it into the phthalo blue and scoop up some white. Let's make a really pretty deep blue sky. And let's go ahead and just paint to about here, the top part of our canvas. And only come about, let's just measure just to be sure. Let's just say we're going to come down about, not more than 3 inches. Phthalo blue and white, that's all this is. And this is such a brilliant color. Phthalo blue is a very, very strong turquoise blue color. Okay, so I want to say that that's good right there. Go around his ears a little bit and bring it down here. Now we're going to go ahead and paint our clouds. And all you're going to do is dip your paintbrush in the white. Don't rinse it out. And we're going to do the kind of clouds that kind of just go side to side, not real big puffy clouds. So I'm just going to kind of wispy it across here. That's probably not a word, wispy it, but that's okay, I'm going to use it. And just take some strokes and come across like this. That should be good. Definitely looks like clouds that are just swooping across from the wind. And so now what we're going to do is the mountainscape. And this you're just going to do with a paintbrush. We're not going to sketch this out. You don't need to sketch it out, because basically a mountain goes like this. And because our painting is a little bit more animated and not so much on the realistic side, you can have a little fun with this. So what we're going to do is take our phthalo blue and mix it with a little phthalo green and a little bit of white. Make a really pretty, almost like a jade color. So let's go ahead and just come up and come down and fill it in. And bring it down about to here. And let's go ahead and do another one. And we're going to have to be careful going around the ears. I'm going to come up here and just sort of paint around his ears. We can go back and redraw that, but I'd like to be able to see as much of the pencil sketch as possible. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call that one done. Like I said, this is just really fun and easy. Okay, so I've got this little area right here in the center, and I think what I'd like to do is put a mountain in the background. But I think I want that mountain to be more on the purple side. And every time I do this painting, I do it different. I don't always do all the mountains the same color. So I'm going to take magenta and mix that with the phthalo blue, a little bit of white, to make a beautiful purple color. go. All right, and now I'm just going to come up here and do a little mountain way in the background and fill in that gap that's right here. Okay, good. When these are completely dry, we will go ahead and apply all the snow on the top. Okay, so I want to put a couple more mountains before I get into the grass area. So let's go ahead and rinse out our brush. And let's make the next mountains, we're going to go back to the jade color. A little bit of phthalo blue, a little phthalo green, and a lot more white this time, instead of it being the first color that we laid down. Let me make sure that it's lighter. Needs to be even lighter. I want there to be contrast. Okay, here we go. This is better. Let's see. Yep, that's better. So what I'm going to do is make another mountain. And again, I'm going to go ahead and go around my llama. And I think I'll go ahead and do another one like it's just starting over here. Bring it all the way down. These colors are so fun to decorate with, and I know that there are a lot of people that love llamas and alpacas, and so this will look great in your house if that's the kind of decor you like to use. So let's bring it down to about there is good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off over here too. And maybe give it another little bit of just a little bit of a soft hill up there. And awesome. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now we can start with the grass. And I'm not even going to rinse my brush out because they're all kind of in the same tones. So all I'm going to do is take yellow and mix it in with the last color that I just made. A lot more yellow, and get a beautiful green color. Maybe add a little bit more phthalo green just to deepen it up. Mix that up really good. That's good right here. Okay, so I'm going to just come across here. Look at these colors, how amazing they are when they get together. Now this does not have to be, we're not going to blend those two together. We're just going to kind of do a soft little line across there. And again, we're going to outline our llama. Come across here, just really fill it in. I get out of the lines a little bit, but it's okay because I know I'm going to clean it up when I get busy painting all of the fur on my llama. Okay. Make a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Now, while it's wet, I'm going to take some yellow, Cad Yellow Light, and I'm just going to dip my paintbrush right in the yellow. Don't rinse your brush out. And I'm going to come across here and just swoop it in a few places. Always going in this direction, going across. It's a landscape, so we want to kind of keep that motion going. And all this does is add some nice highlights to our llama. Maybe a few little hills there would be fun. There, that looks good. And let's go ahead and add a little bit more yellow in a few places and really wake that up. There we go. Just get those pretty grassy tones going. There, that's perfect. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the bottom part of the grass. And so what we're gonna do is take phthalo blue and phthalo green and make a really pretty deep jade color. And I always like to say, when you're working a painting forward, whenever you get to the very forefront of your painting, you wanna work with true color. So we're not gonna put white in this. We're gonna leave it a nice rich green, and we're going to take our paintbrush and go in an upward motion. Try to go around your llama's feet, because we're going to go ahead and do the detail over his feet later. So just a very pretty jade color, and let's go ahead and get the bottom all blocked in. Make sure you don't see any white. You can kind of keep adding the phthalo blue and the phthalo green together. Really rich color. Always kind of brushing upwards. This is the grass, and we would see the detail in the grass if it was this close. Not back here, but we would see it on the forefront. So I'm brushing up, fill that in. And while it's wet, I definitely want to get more highlights on my grass, and the way we do that is we just dip it in yellow and start brushing up. And get a nice dimension, lots of dimensions, and have your grass go in different directions. Don't have it just go up and down like little soldiers all straight. We want to definitely kind of go off to the right, go off to the left, because that's what grass does. And after this is done, we are going to let our painting dry really well before we do our llama, because I don't want green to get mixed in with the fur. So here we go, we're just finishing up here. This is a good place to stop. We can always come back in and do some more details on the grass later. We will, because we have to put it coming over his feet. So take this outside. If it's a sunny day, take about 10 minutes to dry in the sun, or you can take a blow dryer and hit it for about 10 minutes and come back and we'll work on our llama. So my canvas is nice and dry. If I touch it, it feels dry all over. So this is the time that we would work on our llama. So before we get started with his fur, we need to put his little saddle on. And there really is no, I mean, some people like a round one, some people like a pointed one, and some people like a square one. So you get to pick. This is where you get to use your own, you know, art creative field to figure out how you want to do that. But what I'm going to do is just make it simple and do a little square one about like this. So I draw that in because I don't need to paint fur there. So what we're going to do is make a neutral color. And this is actually a really good thing for everyone to know who's learning how to paint. As you can see, I don't have a color that represents kind of a, like the llama is kind of a, like a dirty beige color underneath. So what I like to do is make my own. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take some yellow and some magenta and some blue. And if you keep mixing this up and keep adding colors that from the primary colors, which is red, blue, and yellow, eventually, here we go, you're going to get a neutral shade. Now, if you find that it's a little too green, add some more red. And I can already see this coming out, and I'm just going to put a swoop. Yep, it's more of a brown color now. But I am going to need some white on that, so I'm going to put some white, lighten it up just a little bit. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of yellow. You just kind of have to play with it and play with it and mix it and mix it. And I am definitely seeing a neutral shade here. Let's put it down. Yep, that's kind of a really neat taupey brown color, and that's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and block in my llama with this color. Now it's very, very important that we're gonna work wet on wet, so we don't want to do the whole thing and let it dry. So what we're gonna work on is a portion of our llama. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say we'll stop right here under his belly. And I'm gonna go ahead and brush in a downward motion right here because he is all fur. And hit the little top of his head and his ears. Right, so let's go ahead and do the front feet too. I think this will stay wet for as long as we need it to. Now one of his legs is hidden behind the other, and I'll show you later what we need to do to establish that. So we're going to take our tiny paintbrush and dip it in white, and this is our number 2 round. And we're gonna take this and start with the ears. And all you're gonna do is come around like this, just 2 strokes. 1 and 2. There. And now his little hair goes in front of his forehead, in front of his eyes like this. So we're gonna go ahead and have our strokes go down like this. Everything is kind of going in a downward motion from here on out. If you find that you're running out of white paint, just dip it right back in. We'll do his little muzzle pretty soon here. We're just gonna first do the fur. And so it's just brush, brush, brush. All over. It's very important that we're working wet on wet paint. So if you found that it dried, then go ahead and put a little bit more of your neutral color back on, and that way you can go back and start doing the fur after that. So I'm just doing little strokes like this, down, down, all in a kind of a flowy direction. And as it's curving, I want to go with the curve of his little belly. There we go. And this is where we'll stop and blend that in later. And now I'm gonna do one of his legs, but I want to leave the one in the back dark. So I'm gonna come around right here. Brush it out. Great. We're just gonna leave that one dark because that's the one that's behind. So now it's time to do his little muzzle. All it is just a little puff ball like that. Let that dry. I'm gonna wake up his little muzzle a little bit more and make it a little bit whiter in color, not whiter. There we go. There. Okay, so now we're gonna do this side, and so we just go right back to our neutral color. Make sure you make enough. I think I did. Okay, so the little tail goes in this direction and then kind of fans out like that. And then we're gonna cut in around his little saddle. And then when we get to this point, the fur would be going out like this, in that direction. And the same thing, he has a leg that's gonna be back here, just like this one here. In fact, I'm gonna even make this darker. There we go. Blend that right into the last part that I did. And while it's wet, we're gonna work on the fur. Same thing, take that tiny little paintbrush, that number 2 round, and let's start with the tail. And we're gonna brush it up like this, in this direction. And then the rest of it would be coming down in this direction. And you can really see him come to life. Our white is just automatically mixing with the neutral color, and it kind of just has a very variegated look as it goes onto the canvas. I love this technique of making fur. You can do this if you're doing a painting of any kind of animal that has hair on it like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do the underbelly. Kind of blend it right into the last part that I did. And then don't forget, we have a leg that is behind here, so. Oh, here we go. All right, and I'm gonna go whiten this up a little bit more again. And I think what I'm gonna do is work on the snow on the mountains while my llama is drying. And you can always apply lighter fur if you want to later, but let's just go ahead and work on the snow. And all I'm gonna do is take I'm gonna go with my number 6 round. And this isn't anything fancy. We're just gonna go here and kind of run it along the top and just kind of, that's it. Give it some snow. Kind of give it more of a neat Peruvian background. We're almost done here. One more to go. Okay, this is a good place to stop. All right, so let's see if this is dry. It's still a little wet. I think I'm gonna give that a little bit more time before I lay down the next color. So maybe what I'll do is just, while I'm letting it dry, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of spruce up some of the fur that I wanna wake up, and that I'm just dipping my paintbrush in white and hitting it in a few places just to kind of just to kind of wake up that fur a little, give it a little bit of a whiter tone. He's cute. He's cute already. We need to give him some eyes, but I'll wait to do that. And maybe across his chest, it would be a little bit whiter in tone. So I'm going to kind of lift that out. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Maybe a little under his belly. They always seem to have it whiter there. All right, this is a good place to stop with the fur. It's feeling kind of dry. I'm just gonna go for it. So take your paintbrush. Now, on this part, you can do it any color you want. So I tend to mix it up each time I do it. So I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna block it in yellow. That's such a pretty bright color to start off with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put some yellow down and at least get that down and let that dry, and I'll apply all the fun little stripes and polka dots and fringe. Let's see, come across here. There we go. There. All right, let's go ahead and do his eyes since this is pretty dry, so we might as well. And all I do is I take some of this phthalo blue and maybe a little of the magenta color. I'm trying to just make a very dark color. Maybe a little green. Just put a little bit of all the dark colors together. And we're gonna take our number 2 round brush, and all you're gonna do is just put a little dot here and a little dot here. And I'm gonna give him a little bit of doe eyes here and just put a tiny little, that's it. And he has a kind of a fun little pink nose, and that's easy. You just take the magenta and a little yellow and a little white. Make a very soft, kind of a fleshy pinky color. And then all I'm gonna do is come across here on the top, just almost like a triangle shape. And that's it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my dark color that I made, that I did for the eyes, which was a little green, a little magenta, and a little phthalo blue. And now I'm going to go ahead and this is kind of fine. I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm just gonna put a little dot here and a little line here, and that's his little nostrils under his nose, and then a line coming down like that. And he's kind of an animated little guy, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him a fun little smile. That's it. And then later I'll put the sparkle in his eye just so he doesn't look like he's got these big black eyes. And because this is pretty dry, I'm gonna go ahead and take some magenta, mix it with white. I love magenta on this type of painting because the brighter the colors, the better. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create that little harness strap that's around his mouth. And so we're gonna go over his muzzle, just like that, okay? And then we're gonna bring it under, like this. There we go, dip it back in, and then bring it across, and across, like this. There we go. And because they always have these fun little decorations hanging from their saddle and their muzzle, we're gonna do that too. So I'm just gonna kind of, let's see, bring it like this, swoop it down. This is all done freehand, but don't worry if it isn't, you know, even, it wouldn't be even on the llama either, so don't worry about those little details. And so from here, you can also decide, do you want little pom-poms? Do you want little fringe? And you can kind of just, you know, you could even put these like little tassels on the end of it. That's totally up to you. And I'll show you how I do mine. It's just as simple as can be. You just take, let's just do some turquoise blue ones. So we're gonna take phthalo blue and white and mix that together to make a really pretty turquoise color. And all it is when you want to do a fringe is you want to do like a little dot. Well, help put it over here. You put a little dot and then you kind of brush it like this. Dot and brush. And I kind of like to do different colors. I don't like them to all be the same. So I will just do a few in this color and maybe take a little bit of white just to kind of wake that up a little. There we go. And let's do some in, well, let's do some in orange. So we're gonna take magenta and some yellow. And we'll go ahead and put some orange ones on there. So I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more and we'll come back and do some detail on that. But for right now, it's just too wet. So 5 minutes and we'll be back and we'll finish up our llama and finish up the grass around the bottom and call it done. So let's work on some details on our saddle. This should not take very long unless you want to spend more time on it. I'm going to do something just a little simple. So on the end of your paintbrush, you can dip it in a color and it will make a perfect polka dot. And so what I'm going to do is make some pink with my magenta and white. There we go. A little water to that just to get it. Okay, so now I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in that paint and I can make little dots with it. And this just helps to create a perfect tiny little circle without having to hand paint it, and that would be hard. So as you can see, I do have to dip each time, but it does make a beautiful little circle going all the way around the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. And then we'll add another element to this. One more. Okay, so the pink that I made, I love this color so much. So I think what I'm going to do is just glide it across the top and give a nice pink stripe. Across the top. And I think what I'm going to do is just, like I said, you can just pick any color you want. I like this jade color that I had made earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and make it again. And maybe do, I don't know, I'm going to run it. I'm going to leave that yellow showing underneath my pink and run a green stripe. Maybe do a couple of green stripes. Okay. This is up to you. I want you to have fun with this part, and don't worry if you don't like it. You can always cover it back up and do it again. Oops. And now I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do some X's. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and clean it up. And let's see. I think I'll just do some turquoise blue. And this is the phthalo blue. And I'm just going to go ahead and do some little X's like this. Your prints are up to you. These are always such cute little woven saddles that they wear. Okay, so that's good like that. And then I think what I'm going to do is maybe some circles inside the other one. So I think what I will do is go back to the pink. You know what, I'm going to add yellow to that and make an orange. So you can see how I'm just winging it. I'm having fun, but I definitely want to add some orange in this. So I think what I'm going to do is just, I've got my little paintbrush and I'm just going to paint some little circles. Go. And now I think I want to go back to dipping my paintbrush, and I'm going to go ahead and put a white dot in the middle of each one of my orange circles. See how I'm just like making it up as I go along? Love this part. You can just add as much or as little as you want because these saddles would definitely be very elaborate. So now I've got this little area right here, and I don't know, I think I'm just going to put one more stripe and call it done. So I think what I will do is go back to the pink. Nope, I'm going to go to orange. Changed my mind already. And I think what I'm going to do is just like a squiggle mark. There. So I'm going to say that he's done. I definitely have to put the little shine in his eyes. it would just be a little dot here and a little dot here, just like that. And you can put pom-poms along the bottom. I'm not gonna do it on this one, but I have done it in the past. And if you wanted to do a pom-pom, you would just put little circles going along the bottom all the way around, but that's up to you. The grass is basically done. I'm just gonna put a couple of blades coming over his paws, just like this. That's it. Not a whole lot of detail, just enough to kind of come over his feet. So I think he's done, and I'm going to call it done, and I want you to sign your painting because it's very important that people know that you did this beautiful painting. So I think I'm going to do it in something that really shows up. So I'm going to do it in a really pretty pink color along the bottom because that will show up on my green. Yep. There we go. All right, so I hope you had a great time painting the llama in Peru with me, and I hope you come back and paint with me again. You can find all of my lessons on my online store, paintingwithvictoria.com, or you can tune into all of the lessons on YouTube. So thanks for coming, and happy painting until we meet again.